Hey, Tim. This is Danny Smith. Just calling to tell you how much I appreciate listening to your show, Truckers' Voices. It's very informative. I really like hearing the drivers' stories, how they got into the trucking industry, and maybe what kind of trucks they started out with. And it's just been a lot of fun, and I would encourage any drivers out there to tune in and listen, call in, be a part of it. It's a great show.
Hey, this is Chuck Lopesiger, and I listen to Truckers' Voices every Thursday evening from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern on Facebook or YouTube with host Tim Taylor and co-host Steve Brand, because it keeps me informed about the industry and the drivers that keep our country moving forward. Don't forget, Thursday, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Be there.
Hi, this is Scott Post, and I love Truckers' Voices because there's always something entertaining and educational for our industry. And it's also hosted by two of my good friends, Tim Taylor and Steve Brand. Tune in tonight. And in the meantime, be safe out there.
Hey everybody, how you doing tonight? My name's Charlie Demchuk, and I'm here to welcome you to tonight's big show. Y'all sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Tim and Steve got a good one in store for you. So have a good night. We'll see you.
Hi, this is Tony Wainwright. I hope you enjoy listening to Truckers' Voices as much as I do. Now, without any further ado, kick back, kick your shoes off, air your corns out, and get ready to listen to another fine show.
All right. Good Thursday evening, everybody. I hope everybody had a great day of trucking out there. And you know what? Fall's in the air. I can ride with my window rolled down here in South Georgia now. I can feel the coolness and the briskness coming in my window. Don't have to worry about the gnats or anything like we had back during the August and September months. Man, I tell you what, that's one thing that, I wish that we did not have in the South is those stinking gnats down here, man. If you're working outside and the humidity's up and the gnats are out, man, you can almost breathe the gnats in. They'll get all up in your nose and all that other kind of stuff. But anyway, long story short, I am glad that fall's in the air. I hope that everybody had a good day of trucking. I hope that whatever you did today was safe and prosperous, and that you're back home with your family. But let me say this: if you're not back home with your family yet, and that you are out there trucking still, hey, hold it in between the lines. Hey, keep as safe as you can. Be professional and make sure that you keep everybody around you safe, because that is your responsibility as a professional driver. Speaking of professional drivers, I got another professional driver that's hanging out there in the wings. I'm fixing to bring on my co-host Steve Brand. But before I do that, let me tell you who our special guest is tonight. We got Mr. Ron Vandermark with us tonight. I'm excited to hear Ron's story about how he got in the trucking industry, where it started, where it went to, and what he's doing now. Where he's going to kind of break it down and take us through those steps, and we're going to learn a lot about Ron tonight. And so I'm just excited. I'm always excited to hear your stories about how y'all got into trucking. And if I haven't had you on the show yet, don't be surprised if Steve or myself reaches out to you and tries to get you on the show, because we definitely want to hear what your story is as far as how you got into the trucking industry. Not everybody come up through the CDL schools. Not everybody come up, through this. Some of them may come up through different companies and graduated themselves through it. Or they might have had a class 5 and then they got grandfathered into it. There's all kind of different stories out there that we want to hear about. But without further ado, I'm going to bring Mr. Steve Brand on in here. They see me rolling, they hate it.
We're rolling.
Steve Brand, everybody. He's riding dirty.
How y'all doing? Riding dirty.
Do you actually know what that song really means?
I think so.
Okay, what does it mean?
Can we talk like that on this?
Yeah. This is this is internet. You can say whatever you want to, man. We ain't governed by the FCCA or whatever. We're not governed by any of them.
Well, I got my thoughts on riding dirty, and I'll just keep it that I'm riding dirty when I'm driving that big white truck, and it's kind of great, and winter time's coming, the salt's coming, so it's really going to be great. But hey, I'm riding clean today.
Oh yeah, what you doing? Where are you at?
I am up here in Northeast Ohio, outside of Cleveland. We're actually going to Amherst tomorrow. We've got an event that we're doing with the road team tractor, Interstate 1, and they tell us that there's going to be about 800 kids at this event tomorrow. It's a safety event, team driving and safety event. So there's going to be a lot of folks there. So we got the truck set up, looking good. We'll get over there in the morning, just kind of get the rest set up, be ready to go. And yeah, buddy, we're going to have a good time. We're going to talk safety. We're going to talk trucks. We're going to talk trucking. And we're just going to have us a real good time, me and a couple other fellow road team captains. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready. Anytime I can talk safety, man, I love it. Anytime I can talk about trucks and trucking,
Safety through education, right? As Chuck Singer says.
Yep, exactly. And, so if y'all notice my surroundings are a little different tonight, I may sound a little different because I'm on my phone. I'm not at home. But, hey, we'll be back live with y'all next week. Yes, sir.
You're still live. You're still live.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, kind of live.
Well, you better give a shout out. You better give a shout out to your better half because I'm monitoring the other page over here, and she's watching.
She's watching. I bet. Yep. Doing. So, got everything done. You're resting and relaxing. I tell you what, that I'm just going to say it for the whole world to know it. She's my rock. That's a girl who keeps me going. So, she's my rock. We work pretty good together, even though sometimes she like take a ball bat to my head. But it's all good. She's a good woman. Good woman.
Beth, you earning your money now. I'm telling you.
That's right. I love you, Beth.
All right. So on the bottom of the screen here, I've got a thing up here. If y'all going to comment, if you would go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and kind of give us permission. That way we can see who you are in the comments. But the other thing that I got to say before we get started with the show is the views expressed on the show are those of the host and the guest only and do not reflect those of others. Sound good, Steve?
Sounds great to me.
All right. So we got Mr. Ron Vandermark on here. I kind of, gave him a little bit of an introduction there, but go ahead and tell us a little bit about Mr. Ron Vandermark, what you know.
What I know, good guy. And from what I know about his background and what I kind of keep up with, I'm excited to hear what he's got to tell us tonight. Still kind of sort of in trucking, but not. So, I'm really excited to hear about it. And, can we touch base on something for me real quick before we get into Ron?
We can, but I want to show you something real quick, okay?
Show it to me.
Can you read it?
No, I can't read that.
Well, that heart is from your wife. I just want to let you know your wife sent you a heart.
That's awesome.
All right, go ahead. I know what you got to get on, and you want me to throw the picture up there?
Go ahead and throw it up there. Just want everybody to know that our Make-A-Wish Fund Drive last week in Verona, Virginia went off. I won't say without a hitch. Good old Ophelia come into town about midnight or so in Virginia. She put a little rain on us, but it's all good. It was kind of like a heavy mist to a light rain, and then we had some clearing for a few hours. Just dropped some names: Harold Schneider and Robbie Cottrell, Mrs. Cottrell, and I know I'm forgetting people there, but everybody that put that show on did a fabulous job last week. All the volunteers, all the drivers, and had a good time. And looky there, I actually pulled off a first place trophy in the sleeper class. You believe that?
That's
And
nice. Congratulations, Steve.
I appreciate it. And, hey, it's a charity event, but it's still.
How about that?
So there you go. I like that. But, no, I just want to give a shout out to everybody that participated, everybody that volunteered, everybody that puts that show on every year. Man, you guys need to join us next year. It goes for a great cause. I don't have any numbers yet, what we raised and everything else, but it was a great time, and I just want to give them a shout out. MAPTDA, find them on Facebook, find them on the internet. Great bunch of people. Great time. Beautiful country down there. If the weather was a little better, man, it'd been great. But you know what? We toughed it out. And got my steps in. I walked almost 6 miles last weekend, picking up scores and everything else. But yeah, God bless you all down. So,
all right. Well, before we go to Ron, I'm only monitoring the Truckers Voices page tonight because you don't have your setup there with you, so you can monitor the other one. But I want to give a shout out to Douglas Patrick, Bill McNamee, Joy Honeycutt, Doug Bryan, Mike Kohler, Scott Post, Dean Key, Beth, Brian Kroll, Jeff Rose, Scott Post. Yeah, all of those right there on the Truckers Voices page. I don't know who's on the other pages and YouTube, but I want to just shout out to everybody. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight, and thank you for tuning in every week that we have somebody on here. We don't have everybody on, every week, but we try to do it as much as we can. So we're going well over a year and a half strong now here on the Truckers Voices podcast. So we want to thank everybody that kind of supports the show. Okay, all right.
We love y'all.
That's right. Without people listening to us, we wouldn't have a show, right, Steve?
That's right. And without people coming on, we wouldn't have any guests to talk to. But we got a good one tonight. Let's get to it.
All right, here we go. We're gonna bring him on, okay?
All right.
What's going on, fellas?
What's going on, Ron?
How are you?
How you like that introduction?
That's pretty good. Hey, I guess it fits with the dog, right?
That's exactly why I did that.
That's right. Gotta love it.
All right.
How's everybody doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. And thank you again for coming on. And we're excited to hear your story. Kind of tell us a little bit about, tell us, well, we know who you are. You're Ron Vandermark. Tell us where you're from.
Okay. I'm from a town in Delran, New Jersey. It's about 15, 20 minutes from Philadelphia.
Okay.
Lived there all my life.
All right. Well, what we want to know, the main thing tonight is this. We want to know exactly from beginning to where you're at now, how you got into the trucking industry. So we're going to sit back and just listen to you, and you can just kind of take us through it. And then we'll come back. And Steve and I, we always tell everybody we don't have any scripted question. Everything is right here off the top of the head. And it's just truckers having conversations with each other.
Yeah, sure. No, absolutely. I mean, you might have to actually jump in because, I think I've climbed all over this industry in the 23 years that I've been in it. I started out at 23 years old, actually. So actually, it's been a little longer than that now. So I started out at the age of 23. At the time I was married to my first wife. She was pregnant with my daughter at that point. And, I was at that age where, we're kind of jumping around, bouncing around job to job, and hey, I got a child on the way, I need to be able to support my family. So I kind of looked around a little bit and actually started my career out with Schneider. Went to Schneider, spent 2 weeks in training with them. And then, I drove a cab over, went out and started with them, worked with them for a little bit. I had the ultimate goal. I wanted to get back home, because I had a small kid, I wanted to have more kids. And so my goal was to get into, trucking, but, because it was a solid career. But I just wanted to try to see, hey, how can I get home? How can I spend some time with my kids? And that's where I jumped into LTL. Got in and started working with overnight transportation. So it goes back pretty far. And got in doing that. Drove a Mac R model, no power steering. You know, I had the hot box sitting right next to me. You wanted a little bit of air, you pop the vent open. That's it. Roll your window down. There's no air conditioning. You know, so yeah, just, you know, went with overnight. And then obviously at that point, UPS came in, UPS Freight, you know, bought overnight from them, and drove with them just up to just this year, just shy of my 23rd year with T-Force. So that's kind of where, you know, I went through everything. You know, I jumped from being a dock guy to a driver through them, and then I went to UPS's driver training program out in Chicago. And you know, as we know, UPS's training programs probably one of the best in the country. And you know, the way that they drill in that the UPS's Smith system, you know, they use the Smith system, but it's a little bit tweaked, you know, to UPS's standards. And you know, once I bought into that, man, whoo, boy, did that just change. That just changes your whole mindset when you start to see that and you just live by that. And then I just got into, you know, starting to train new drivers. And what I happened to notice was you got a lot of new people that were coming into the industry, you know, veteran guys like ourselves who've been out there for so long. And we've got to hand that down to these younger guys, you know, the younger people just coming out of school and, you know, they're nervous and they want to get into this. And I think that's where I fell into the, you know, the passion of training, you know, once I started getting away and doing some different events and then going at, you know, getting back into it and getting and seeing these guys and training them and helping them, you know, understand, you know, not only the driving aspect of it, but the safety piece that comes along with it. And, you know, I think that kind of really stuck in my heart. And, you know, so I went into management with UPS and was in management for about 3 years. I was a lead operations supervisor. So I went from a driver actually to being in charge of, I think I had 6 supervisors I was in charge of, and then all the drivers and dock workers and clerks. So I did that. And then, you know, obviously T-Force bought, yeah. So then T-Force bought UPS Freight from them. And, you know, they had to make some cuts. They have to make some moves, you know. Hey, yeah, I have to understand, you know, I get it. You know, is it tough? Yeah, but, you know, that's just kind of where, you know, I just, it's not in my hands. Higher powers, God, you know, I just put it in his hands and just followed him. And now I'm in the busing industry. And I'm a safety manager for a busing company. I got about 24 buses and I think I'm just over 20 drivers. So now I'm over there and I'm in charge of everything in regards to accidents, interviews, you know, taking new drivers out, putting them through a training program that, you know, that I was able to actually go in and design. You know, I took some of their stuff and some of the stuff that I've learned along the way and, you know, kind of put it into something. And, you know, I've just started taking that out to some of these new drivers. And, you know, the best part about that is you can really start with somebody and you can really drive in the importance that you have. And when you're safety driven and you can implement that in somebody, you know, and maybe somebody who doesn't buy into it right away, and you watch that light bulb go off on their head. And I know both of you guys have seen that before, but when that light bulb goes off on someone's head, that's a powerful thing because you know you got them and you know it's stuck. You know,
yeah, they get it. You finally figured they get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, so that's how I wound up in the busing industry. And, you know, like we were talking a couple minutes before in the pre-show, yeah, it's been a challenge. That's probably one of the biggest things is, you know, when I came into the busing industry, you know, a lot of the drivers that were over there were like, you know, how long you been driving? And 23 years. And yeah, I drove a tractor trailer. And they're like, oh, you don't understand how tight that is. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. I'm like, a couple of different things. I'm like, listen, you know, I came from UPS Freight. So I said, you know, them little brown trucks that run around your yard, your neighborhood and drop off all your packages? I said, yeah, I did that with a tractor trailer. So yeah, I can handle my own, you know, and, you know, from where I'm at, you know, I'm out in, you know, we got a lot of real tight areas out here in the Northeast and, it's no joke.
Yeah.
So, So they wound up gaining a little respect, especially when I got in at them on the safety piece of it. And a loaded bus with 56 passengers on it is almost 80,000 pounds loaded with suitcases.
Wow.
So, the stopping distance is the same. The safety culture that we have to put into that, it's the same. So once they understood that and realized, whoa, this guy knows what he's talking about, they bought in.
Right.
But see, now it flips, right? Because now we get into the management side of the busing industry, right? They don't understand the respect that I get from the drivers, and they just don't understand. It's just a different level. We can have a conversation, and the drivers will understand where I'm coming from, and I may be able to say something to them as a driver that maybe a manager can't. Somebody who's behind a computer, and they may have a CDL, but they don't have the experience, and they haven't seen what we've seen out on the street and some of the things, and so it's been a little bit of a challenge, but it's working out well. That's one of the things. I think from being in the trucking industry and being around guys like you and everybody else that I've come in contact with in the trucking industry, it's powerful. The trucking industry is definitely a very powerful piece, and that's my job now, is try to figure it out, and it's another struggle.
Yeah. Well, what you bring to the table from what you learned over the years in the trucking industry, you're actually trying to mesh it into in somewhat of a different industry, but yet the same industry, as far as transportation goes. So, man, I tell you what, I'm excited for you because, I know that you are going to do well in this, and that you sound like you're doing well. Before I go on to the next question, let me ask you a question. Was you finished? I didn't cut you off, did I?
No.
Okay.
I didn't cut you off. No.
Okay. Good. So I want to go back to your Snyder days, and I definitely want to ask you how you said that was like 23 years ago that you was with Snyder, right?
Yeah, I think. It was like 23 years ago. That was 23 years ago. So, or I'm sorry, I was 23 years old when I started. So, it's probably going to be about 25, 26. I think I'm like 48 now, something like that.
Okay. All right.
Forget that.
So back then, did you go into Snyder with your CDL, or did you have to go through their training program?
Went through their training program. Yeah, went through their training program.
And walk us through that, because I'm thinking about the CDL schools of today, and personally, I think they turn them out too fast, to be honest with you, just some of the run-of-the-mill CDL schools, right?
Yeah.
So run us how was that with Snyder? How did that work?
Yeah, so we're going back obviously quite a bit, so kind of bear with me on that. But I do remember the training because it was we went out to Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and from there we went out to, I don't remember what state it was we went out to, but they put us out there for 2 weeks, and it was every day we were out there and really getting out, and we were with trainers, and they didn't, load us up, and really took care of us and showed us how to do that pre-trip, and, how to understand, how to really operate that truck. And, at that point, I was 18 speed, I think it was at that point, and really got us, into really understanding. And when we came back, it was, we'd go and get our license, and boom, you get it right out of the first shot, but I think they really did pay more attention, back then, and really, I think really got us really trained, before they really, sent us out. And then once we were done, then they put us on the street with a driver trainer, that we pretty much stayed with for, I think it was another 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
At that point. Yeah. So, yeah, I agree, and I think I saw a lot of that, in the training, in the driver training end of it, when I was a driver trainer in the truck, and even on the bus side now, these people, some of these guys that are coming out of school, I almost feel like they're getting the bare minimum, and it's like, I think that I mean, we're dealing with, people's lives and families. I think that we shouldn't shortcut that, we shortchange that training, and, what's the end result? I mean, I think we all kind of know what could happen if we shortchange it, and
Right.
I don't think that's a good idea. I think we really need to really
Right.
change that.
Yeah, I just want to comment on that. I'm not pointing to every school. I'm not
Right.
pointing to every company, but
Yep.
there's a lot of places out there. They train you to get your license.
Mhm.
Have a motto: we train you to get your license. You'll figure it out after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that motto. I train you to get your license, but we also need to train you to be a professional, to be safe. You've not only got your shipper and your receiver's precious cargo with you, you've got precious cargo around you. You've got me around you. Please don't hurt me.
Right. Exactly.
But real quick, it's just an off the wall question, and you and I was talking. You'll discuss it, but you said you've driven one of these buses. Did you drive the bus? The international cab over buses, they called it, with Schneider.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. That's what I
What
started with.
what is the comparison of sitting on top of that wheel or behind the wheel like you do in a stagecoach?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, having the big, big doghouse over top of me when my Schneider days, where like I almost feel like it sat up over my head. You kind of feel like you're
Right.
sitting down in a cockpit. Now sitting in a stagecoach, man, top heavy. Yeah, you can feel it.
Right.
You can really, really, really feel the difference, and it's also really different because you are sitting down lower. Everybody's up above you in a motor coach. They're up above you, and you're down sitting low again. So it's a little different. Not feeling up as high as I was up in a big truck.
Right. But
So yeah, big difference.
as far as the turning radius and things like that, because I tell you, I've had the opportunity to ride plenty of stagecoaches and
Yep.
sit in the front seat, whether it's on the right or on the left behind the driver. Man, when they go out there to them intersections and cut them things back, you think they're just going to wipe out 2 or 3 cars
You would
because
think so.
that back axle, they go out a little deeper and it cuts a little shorter. And that's kind of where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
A bus versus a setback axle semi like that?
Well, I'll tell you what. So, it's a little easier for me because I had 28 years in the fire service. So, so I've been driving our tower ladders the same body length as a charter bus is. But the difference on the turn radius is, obviously, with us being connected, up front with the fifth wheel on a big truck, we can get around those corners and we can get out, but we can cut that wheel back real quick and, cut right along that curb line, where a bus, I actually just learned this, that, you got a tag axle in the back that you just, you have down when you're driving on highway or highway speeds. But, once you come up to that intersection, these guys it's pretty neat. They just flip this switch, that wheel comes up and they just whoop right around the corner.
Exactly.
But you're way out there, but it's like, what? And then, and even just today, I knew the tag axle went up and down, but I'm still learning all this stuff. And we got some brand new buses coming in. And so they have a tag axle. I forget what it's actually called, to be honest with you. I just heard it today. But so this tag axle will actually now, under 12 miles an hour, will the air in the tag axle will actually soften up when you hit this button, and then that'll allow the tag axle to come up off the ground just enough to get that bus turned quick.
Right.
So that's a new feature that they got on the buses, and that's pretty neat to see that and watch these things come around right around that corner.
Nice.
But one other difference too is on the bus side, you got to stay about a foot and a half off the curb line to
Right.
keep that gap closed and to really keep that around that corner. So that's
Right.
a little bit of a difference too that you get on the bigger trucks. We can button hook a little bit more, or we can get that tractor out there a little bit more before we get that trailer coming around. And then if we
Right.
get we're hauling a set of pups, boy, we can almost chase those things around.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's difference. That's for sure.
Now, does your stagecoach company just run local events,
Yeah.
or do you guys go cross country?
Yeah, so I actually have a driver out right now, left out on September 1st, and I think he was out for 29 days. He's out. So he went from New Jersey. He went all the way down to like New Mexico, and then he went over into Nevada, and I think they're coming up on the west side, coming back, coming up on the higher end states and coming out that way and heading back to us. So should be back in a couple days. But yeah, it's neat. Hey, listen, they get we give our drivers $25 a day on cash to cover their food expense as well. And I know it's not a lot, but
Right.
a lot of times our drivers, they get to go out and eat with the people that are on the coaches. Their hotel rooms are paid for, their meals are paid for. They get to do a lot of events with the people, and it's kind of a pretty good retirement gig if you ask me.
Right. Now, with that
bad, right?
Him being out that far, how does that hours of service work? Like, we can only drive 11 in the trucking side of it. Is he limited to 11?
No, he's 10.
He's 10.
He's 10 on the drive. Yep.
Now, by himself, or they run like a team where another guy's, somewhere down, whatever?
Yeah, no, either he's by himself, and I think he has 46 people on his trip with him, and so they have a detailed itinerary. So, so what we do is the staff that we have in our building, they actually build this trip, right, and so they know where they're going every day. We know how many hours the driver can go, how many they can drive, how many they can work, and so they can actually see that. So they line them up. So it's, hey, we're going to be in New Jersey today. Tomorrow we're going to be in, wherever they decide that they were going to stop on that trip. And then they just move it along and along. So the driver doesn't get out on, on his hours. Now he may push a little bit more, but, being on an extended trip. But other than that, we get some other ones that are 4-day, 5-day, 7-day, Cape Cod and, Boston, things like that. But
right.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
I was just kind of monitoring the comments when you saying that, and Tony Wainwright's one of our avid listeners on here, and his wife actually drives a tour bus like that, and she's drove quite a bit, especially around DC a lot, and but anyway, he said 10 on and 8 off.
Yeah, 10. Yeah, it's right. 10 on, 8 off. Right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Well, backing up a little bit, I want to jump back to your UPS days there. And was UPS Freight the first actual LTL company that you worked for?
No, it was overnight first. I was an overnight guy, so that was my first one. Yeah.
Okay. All right,
that's where I started my pedaling.
I got you. So when you went into it, you come from there to from Snyder to there, right? And did you have to go and get all your endorsements? Did you do that yourself, or did you kind of like progress yourself through that?
So I think when I was with Schneider, I was on a dedicated run, a Northeast dedicated run. So I think I just had my regular, just a CDL, normal Class A. And then once I got into overnight, that's where I had to go get my doubles and triples and my hazmat. And then I think once the UPS Freight came in is when we had to go get our tanker endorsement because of the totes that we carried. Yeah. So that's what made us have to go get the tanker. So, yeah.
Well, I want to take you back to a time during the COVID era, and I want you to tell us a little bit about that and how hard it was to make deliveries whenever we had COVID going real strong back in 2020 and 2021. Because I know some of the stuff that you had to do. So I'm just going to let you speak to the listening audience about that.
Yeah, so I had the honor of bringing the first trailer of hand sanitizer to the NYPD. Um, we had a 53-foot trailer, just loaded with 55-gallon drums of hand sanitizer that I brought into to NYPD, dropped that off. So that was pretty important, because if you all go back to when we were looking for hand sanitizer, it was pretty tough to come by. So hauling a 53-foot trailer full of hand sanitizers, going into to New York City was pretty impressive. And we did that quite a bit. We they'd close the George Washington Bridge, and they'd bring our trucks across that bridge and close it down with a police escort, bring us right in and bring us right out. So it's kind of neat, going across some of those bridges, and some of the other drivers that John McCowan and Billy Bennett, going out and getting to do these deliveries, to know that you're helping the residents of New York City it's pretty neat to be able to do that. Also, I delivered the fabric to the fabric district that was making the yellow gowns. So the yellow gowns that everyone was wearing during COVID. So I had rolls and rolls and rolls of that. That was obviously we were going through a shortage with that. So I had the rolls that were delivered to the district that was making them for I think it was for the whole country actually that they were doing. It was a lot. So I got to do some of that as well. So yeah, it was really, really neat. Something you'll always remember.
All right, all right. I do want to mention a comment or two here that's on the screen, because they don't think that I'm going to ask you this, but I'm fixing to put them in check back, and I'm going to tell you who I'm putting back in check is Mr. Bill McNamee.
I knew that was coming. I heard that name earlier, and I was like, "Yep, I'm sure it says Captain Ketchup in there somewhere too, right?" Or
he said yes. He said yes. He puts ketchup on his Philly cheesesteaks.
That's the only way. I mean, this is coming from the guy that eats hot dogs with pickles on them and tomatoes. I mean, what? It's either ketchup or mustard. And if you're feeling froggy, you can put some sauerkraut on there maybe or something. But
yeah. So maybe after a while, maybe in a little bit when I open the phone line up here, after a while, maybe he'll call in, and you guys can have a discussion about that. So hey, I'll be opening the phone lines up here in just a few minutes. But hey, I'm actually looking at the time right now, and let's get on into what else we want to talk about. I want to talk about your other little side thing that you're doing now. And so go ahead and tee that up for us, and then of course I'll come out and I'll let you narrate these videos. Okay. So go ahead and tell us what you got going on.
Yeah, so I have I got a 2-year-old Belgian Malinois who's my narcotics canine. So I got her just by mistake. We lost one of our dogs that we've had, and I said to my wife, "Hey, I want to go get a German Shepherd," and she flips online and she's like, "Hey, check this thing out. It's a little puppy. Looks like a German Shepherd." I'm like, "Oh, it's good. Let's go get it." So we go get it. We're on our way home, and we're listening to the people talk about it, and they're like, "Oh, it's a Belgian Malinois." I'm like, "What?" And so, we, what everybody does, jump on Google, and I'm like, "You know what we have here?" And she's like, "No." And I said, "Yeah, Belgian Malinois. That's like a military dog, and the police canine." And I'm like, "Listen, they're really, really high drive and need to be worked every day." I'm like, "This dog is needs to be trained." So I got into getting her trained, and I worked side by side with a good friend of mine who's a Middletown canine officer, and so my dog pretty much just ran side by side with him, and she's a fully certified police canine. She does everything a police dog will do, and so now I do that on the side as well. So I train dogs and work my narcotics dog, and now I'm trying to get a bomb dog going now.
So let me go ahead and I'm gonna play these videos. You can speak to them, and then we'll come back and we'll finish up on this right here. Sure. All right, go ahead. All right, let's see. There it is. There she is.
Yeah, there she is. Yeah, so that's Luna, and the German Shepherd there. That's Raven. So right here, that's me doing some narcotic work with her, and we just put out some K2, which is a synthetic marijuana, and we put that out for her to train, and we just put it, like you can see, you bury it as far as you can, and let her go find it. And, she finds it quick, but, going in the water and, loves the water, jumps in the pool, can't keep her out of the pool. That video you guys were just watching right there was a prison that we went into, and we do a lot of different prisons, and she went into one of the prisons and just pulled like the mother load of narcotics out of a prison.
Oh, wow.
Which kind of made a name for her, which was really good, So, she's really done well in doing that. It's a lot of fun, but it's just training every day with her, and just work her and, did some bite work with her. So she does protection work as well and tracking. And she's wild, and that's for sure. So she's a lot of fun, but she's a handful. She's a handful. Yeah. I was doing a job with a second narcotics dog one day, and the other dog that I was with had kind of caught some odor in it was like a 6.5 foot fence that was separating us. She went right up over top of the fence, jumped it from a sit, and went right up over the fence. And I'm just like the lady that I was working with was like, hey, did Luna just go over the fence? And I'm like, yep. And she's like, that dog's just not wrapped too tight, but they're amazing,
She took your wife out here, didn't she?
Oh yeah. So she came flying around. That's my wife, just doing some video for our TikTok. She's got her own TikTok with I don't know, like 1,300 people that watch her. So we put different videos up for her and, watch her do all her crazy stuff that she does. And, that's just endless because, the speed from her and the narcotics that she does, the bite works that she does. And, it's just neat to watch it. And you really start to get to uncover this breed. And, a lot of people were getting this type of a breed after that movie, Dog that came out. I don't know if you guys have seen that or not with that
No.
Belgian Malinois. Was a military movie about the dog. So a lot of people were getting them, and they're tough.
So Ron, tell us a little bit about the latest with her and like what happened last night or night before last this week? Tell us that story.
Yeah, so it wasn't actually my dog. So a good friend of mine. Yeah, so a good friend of mine is he's got a narcotics dog. He's a local town next to us. Went through the same program. I've been helping him, with some, the narcotic work and, getting the dog, even more and more familiar with that. So we started doing some tracking with the dog. And so, I gave my buddy a call, Harry, last night and said, hey, what are you doing? He's like, hey, I'm going to a car stop up on Route 130. They need a narcotics dog to come out. I said, all right, when you're done, give me a yell and, I'll come find you. So I was going out into the woods. So I went out I was in some thick brush last night. And so he called me up and he had to just come find me. His dog had to come find me and came right out to me. When we got done, we were, we walked back to his car in my truck and talking for a minute. And he actually got called out for a active shooter. And someone came up to one of the cars and pulled a gun on, one of the officers' faces, and I guess went to, shoot. And fortunately, the gun malfunctioned. Well, the suspect ran away, and so the canines got called out. So, my friend's dog went out last night and, ran a track on him and found the gun. Got the gun. They got the guy that pulled the gun out on the cop, and we're able to arrest him and charge him with attempted murder on a police officer. And and we got the dog that you're training and tracking, to go right where the guy was and be able to recover the gun and the keys of the car that he was driving. That's cool.
Oh yeah,
to feel that was pretty neat.
And these dogs are commissioned as officers too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So, but a lot of them, a lot of these dogs too, these Malinois are, they're pretty much, they're working dogs, so they're not family pet dogs. It's very, very rare that you can get one. I'm really fortunate. Luna's she's a big snuggle bug, and I have, 2 grandkids, one more on the way. And, as you saw in that video, that was my grandson, is 6 years old, giving her commands
Yeah.
in German. She's trained in German. So all her commands is given by a 6-year-old. And as you saw, she listens.
Oh yeah.
So, so it's neat.
That's awesome. Now, how many working years does Luna have?
She's 2. She's 2 years old. So I've been working her for about, I started training her when she was 8 weeks old. No, about 10 weeks old, right out of the gate, and I think I got into narcotics with her when she was about 8-9 months old. And then it just went narcotics, bite work, articles and things like that. So pretty much all her life.
Okay, with her being a narcotics dog, how many years can she do that?
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. So it depends on her. She, if 10, 11 years old, I know one of the officers in the town next to us, they're about to retire one of their canines, and that dog's almost 11. So about 10, 11 years. So we got some time, behind us on that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's something I didn't know. You hear canines retiring from the force all the time, but I don't know, I know it's got to affect their nose, and eventually the nose wears out, I guess you could say. It gets overused, I guess. And that's kind of what I was curious. So about 10, 11 years.
Yeah, but it's really not anything on the send end of it. I did a lot of work with a guy who's a retired DEA. He's got a Malinois who's old. Just I don't even know how old the dog is, but he's still a phenomenal dog.
Right.
And it's really not about the sniffer at that point. Their sniffer's about 40,000 times greater than a human nose. And I use that to our advantage with, some of the places we go in, the rehabs and things, because, my family's been through addiction, and it's a tough thing. And my son is, 7 years clean now. And, so I go in and I utilize her in a different way too. I say to the patients that are there, I've gotten called in on emergency calls, and I say to them, like, hey, listen, get out. Look at this. I said, this is a dog. I said, I've been in this. And I'm like, and you can make a difference, You can make a difference in someone's life. You can save someone's life. And, when you start putting that stuff into their head and give them the idea that, hey, you can go somewhere, just because you're caught up in something that's really, really, tough. There's an out, and you can help other people by doing that too. And you can make a real good living with that too. A narcotics dog's $250 to $500 to run her.
Right.
So, you can make some good money off of that, and they hear that, you kind of get perked up a little bit, and they get some questions for you. So it's really neat to be able to kind of give that back to them too. But
well, do you ever tell Luna to work with you and have her check the buses?
So yeah,
guys are carrying all kinds of people, and you don't know what the tourism, the tourists are leaving that bus, because y'all may be dropping them off in a place that is very police oriented, and maybe they'll leave something on the bus. Have you ever taken her to work and utilized her that way?
So I take her to work with me pretty much every day. And I don't use her on the narcotic side. I have thrown some hides out, for her. But we, in our industry, we're kind of more like, we got the charters and stuff. So, we don't really have to deal more of like your public transportation, where you're going to have some of that issue. She just comes with me because if I don't bring her, she's an absolute nut by the time, I get home, and then you got to take her out for a ball or something for 12 hours.
Got to get that energy out of her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're fortunate enough. I'm only about 2 blocks from downtown Trenton. So I think, all the ladies in my office, I think they like having a bite dog, laying in the office, and they feel protected. That's for sure.
So I want to touch on a comment here that just come in, and Bill McNamee, he said his proudest recollection of Ron is this experience with the Covenant House.
Oh, Covenant House. Yeah, that's
Tell us about that. Yeah.
wow, that's my pride and joy. So I got involved with Covenant House back in my UPS days, and yeah, that's an organization. And I know this show goes out across the country, and there's a lot of Covenant House locations in there. And Covenant House is it's a place that takes kids that are between the ages of 18 and 21 years old who have experienced homelessness. Some of them have been, because they've been in the LGBTQ community and, they haven't been accepted by their parents. Some of them are lost their parents. The specific, could be drugs or been locked up in jail. And, 18 years old or they're in the foster system. And when they age out on the foster system, they leave the foster system with the trash bags, with the belongings that they have. And then they go out on the street, and then within 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours, that's where, the sex trafficking comes in.
Right.
And we're all TAD ambassadors and, we push for that, and Truckers Against Trafficking. And, on the busing side is Busing on the Lookout.
Right.
But the Covenant House rebuilds these people and they bring them in. And, they have lawyers, they have the legal team, the doctors, everything that these kids could possibly want. And, they just want to try to get, on their feet. And, a lot of them that can get through this, they'll never experience homelessness again. So this is one of the big things that I think, for our industry, and I always say our industry because once a truck driver, always a truck driver.
Always. That's right.
But, one of the most important things, besides safety that I can say to everyone out there is take a look and see if you have a Covenant House out there in your location. Take a look at these kids. These kids, they've experienced homelessness. They may have lost their parents and something that's going on, but they don't want to be that. They don't want to be that number to society and live in a, in a shelter or in an enclosed slide. They're looking for a career, right?
Right.
So how about us? Let's go back to what we talked about in the beginning. 23 years old, trying to get a family. Where'd I go? Truck.
Right? That's right.
Because everybody needs that. They need the free. And so I got involved with them and got them. They got them in there and tried to get them in and work on our dock or help them get their commercial license and and show them that hey, there's a career out here, and that's what the Covenant House does for them. They get them in, they help them get jobs. And then they progress through the system. They go to the next step where, they give the Covenant House X amount of money, and the Covenant House, they get free food, free shelter, things like that. And then, when they're done that, then they step up into the next system where then they get like an apartment living, and they're still working. They're giving, a percentage of their money back to the Covenant House again. And Covenant House is going to now teach them how to pay bills and be able to start to live on their own. And then once they transition from that, then they can go in and get their own apartment from that place. They've got a job. And the best part about it is the money that they worked and they gave with the Covenant House, to get back. So with, first and last month's rent, furniture, things like that. And, so they do this and they're operational by their sleep outs. They do an executive sleep out, which we've done. I've done quite a few years of, and I think the last one I did, I actually brought my son with me who just applied to get a job at the Covenant House. And we raised as a team, not just my team, but as a group on that sleep out was $1.2 million.
I've seen some pictures that you've had in the past of a sleep out. So explain to the listening audience what a sleep out is.
So sleep out is you're going to go to your local Covenant House. You're going to raise money for your team and, for them to be able to operate. And you're going to go in and you're going to sit with some of the youth that are there. And you're going to hear some success stories and you're going to hear some of the things that they've gone through. Where we all, kind of think, hey, sometimes this isn't what they're dealt a wrong card sometimes. And, sometimes, they didn't ask for this, so you're going to go hear some of the stories from them. And you're going to, once you're done that, you're going to get a sleeping bag and you're going to get a cardboard box and that's it. You're going to go outside and you're going to lay on the blacktop on that piece of cardboard box in November, right when it's cold, and you're going to raise that money for them. And I'll tell you what, one of the biggest things is, you guys walk outside when dead in the middle of winter and it's cold, and think about them kids that didn't ask for this,
Right.
when they're trying, and you think about it. You think about that when you walk to your car and you get in your warm car, or you go home and get in your warm bed. And, you start thinking about some of these kids and some of the things that they've done, that has happened to them, from abuse or, being trafficked. It's really sad, but to be able to give back to them and watch some of the success stories that these kids come up with,
Mm-hmm.
guys, let me tell you, look up Covenant House. You
Okay.
won't go wrong.
All right.
Go wrong.
Well, you get some good accolades here on the comments. Doug Frombaugh says, you're the man, Vandermark. You was his roommate at selections for America's Road Team in Dublin, Virginia at Bavo. And, Doug's a fine man there. And, I had the privilege to work with Doug when he was going through selections. Matter of fact, from the company standpoint, I had an opportunity to help mentor him through, some of that selection process. So, it's good stuff, Ron. And, I want to tell anybody that wants to call in right now, we just got a few minutes left on the show, but I'll take one or two calls if you want to call in. The number is 251-616-2151. That's 251-616-2151. So yeah, we'll field one or two calls before we go off the air here. But man, I tell you what, I've learned a lot from you tonight. And, I'm so glad you come on and, you shared, everything from your trucking history to what you're doing with Luna, and also what you do with the Covenant House. Is very impressive to me. Very impressive.
Yeah,
So
thank
you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me on too, guys. Guys, it's an honor, to be on with you guys. It's two great guys that support the trucking industry. I can't go wrong with you two guys. Beautiful show. Great guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for everything you do, brother. Thanks for everything.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. Ron, while we're waiting on a phone call, if we do get one, if not, that's fine.
Bill needs a call on McNamee.
McNamee said he's at the firehouse. I don't think he can call in. I seen that comment a while ago. I think that's an excuse, right?
Yeah, that's an excuse. That's McNamee for you.
But anyway, if you had to speak to a young person right now that was, on the fence about getting into the trucking industry, what would you say to him or her?
What would I say to a young person? Yeah. Listen, everything that we get in our life is moved by a truck, and the industry is short drivers. And, without this younger generation coming up and understanding that, hey, all this stuff moves from truck one way or another, to be able to keep that stuff moving, we need the people to come in here and, to be able to move that stuff for us, the freight from your cars, name something that doesn't come by a truck.
Right.
I think we've had that conversation, right? So we need them to come in. It's a great industry that you can support your family with, and and not even have to look back, because it's always going to be there. You're always going to have job security in this field. So, don't even think twice about it. Just jump right into it, because you won't turn back.
Okay. And add to that, Ron, as far as for the driver that's out there that's been out here, give us a safety message real quick.
Safety message. I think one of my biggest ones I'm on right now is mobile phones. Mobile phones are, I just did a presentation on this, 362,000 deaths or 362,000 injuries in 2021 related by distracted driving. The phones and the phone calls can wait. We all have to make it to the end of our day to our most important stop. Right? And I think that's the biggest safety message that we need to put out there too, to these young people.
That's right. Exactly.
Wait.
Well, thank you very much for coming on tonight. And if you'll just hang on for a minute, we'll talk to you, on the other side after we go off the air here. Real quick, Steve, give us a safety message and a word of encouragement.
Sounds good. Hey, thank you all for letting me talk about MAPTA. Appreciate it. God bless you all. Safe out there. And remember, the most important trip is that trip home.
Absolutely. And y'all remember, this show will air again tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Truckers Voices page and the Safety Drive and on YouTube. So if you lost it tonight or you had to go away, y'all come back, listen to it again. Steve and I will go back and listen to it again because not because we like to hear ourselves, but we doing the show is different than listening to it. I'm going to tell you, I'll go back and listen because I learned things that I might have missed, So anyway, y'all have a good night. Y'all be safe out there tomorrow. And it's Friday. Remember, people are trying to get from one place to the other, and they get a little bit complacent on Friday. But hey, as professional drivers, we got to do our part to keep everybody around us safe. That's our job. We do move freight, but our job is to keep everybody safe. So y'all look out for those who aren't looking out for themselves, and we'll see you right here on Truckers Voices next week. We'll see you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.